I'm happy that the Wizards were able to pull away with a victory. We'll get into our Wizards talk in just a moment. And the Ravens are just scored a touchdown there, so they're now up 27-6 in their game. So this game is in New Orleans, and so, all right. So they decide that the face-off will be outside of the zone, which is actually really an important differentiating factor. The Capitals are able to win the thing. Oh, they try to throw it down the ice to get the empty netter, but it's just wide. But our player gets back there, and so there's no icing, which is big. There's 17 seconds left in the game. The Oilers are advancing into our zone. It's still empty net. They're passing along the blue line, passing up front, but it was a block shot. Oh, it escapes the guy at the blue line. All the Oilers have to get out of the zone. 1-0, and the Capitals are able to win the game 5-4. That's very exciting. So in this Misery Monday, we're able to get two victories, and that'll be my segue here. Again, Caps win 5-4, very much due to the power play. But let's get into some Wizards talk as we have our Wizards roundtable trio as we're going to go tonight. Big win for the Caps. I'm very excited about that. But let's get into some Wizards talk. I'm going to quickly pull up the schedule, and I'm going to share our screen. Just give me 1 second to pull that up. Oops, that's not the right screen. It is. Hold on. Here we go. It should be. Here we go. And let me click some buttons real fast. Meeting, export that, and we're going to. Hold on. 1 second. For some reason. I hate it when it does that. The source for the Zoom just killed our camera. So hold on. Give me 1 second. Well, while I do that, Arun, we're still live on Facebook, so people can still see you on there. Why don't you give your assessment on the up and down nature of this live game, and then we'll go into the week that was.
The Caps game.
Sorry, no, the Wizards game.
Oh yeah, the which one? The
The
Hornets.
game that happened tonight against the Hornets.
Yeah. Overall, the Hornets were kind of keeping it close with the Wizards throughout the game, and then I think Rui took over, and a real bright spot was Jordan Goodwin. He was perfect from the field with 17 points, and it looks like he could be a potential like either six man or maybe even starting point guard if he keeps it up playing this way. Definitely a good game by Goodwin. Rui um, played pretty well. He was getting to the rim. He even was hitting his mid range shot. Porzingis, he might be playing like third best center behind Jokic and Embiid this season. And it's good to see Corey Kispert back, and I think it's the second game back in the lineup. And the Wizards were able to pull away. Monte Morris, he didn't wasn't exactly great. He only had 2 assists in 2 minutes, but still a win is a win. Kelly Oubre kind of shot the Hornets out of the game, and it was funny to see Porzingis playing Dennis Smith because they were both supposed to be the future stars of the Knicks, and now they're on the one's on the Wizards and one's on the Hornets, and so overall good win for the Wizards against a team that they should beat because the Hornets were pretty bad, and they're also without LaMelo Ball, who's out with an injury. Even without Bradley Beal, the Wizards should beat the Hornets.
Yeah, it was an interesting game because it started off so well, and then the second quarter it fell apart. The Wizards played a pretty good third, but and then also played well in the fourth and ended up with a 108-100 victory. But it was very close at times. You know, it was just within a couple of points throughout the fourth quarter. There was some back and forth in this game. Champ, what are your thoughts on the game from tonight?
So I've been binge watching Hell's Kitchen on YouTube, all 20 seasons, and I'm caught up on season 21. And one of the main things that Chef Gordon Ramsay stresses to the chefs is bounce back. When you face adversity, you bounce back. after back-to-back not very good losses, this was a bounce back win for the Wizards. Even though it didn't look like they were bouncing back, they had a pretty good lead early on in the first half, and then they let it fade away going into halftime. But then they bounced back, they pulled it together, and they went ahead and won the game against the Hornets team that did not have LaMelo Ball on the court, even though they did not have Bradley Beal, because for the 1,100,000th time, Bradley Beal is in health and safety protocols. I don't understand that, but at the same time, they managed to pull it out. They managed to get the win to ride the ship. And by the way, this win broke a 9-game losing streak in Charlotte. So that's even more of a reward there, to be able to finally win a game in Charlotte in the last 9 games.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna rewind it just a little bit, and go back and take a look at sort of the week that was. But I do want to come back to this game towards the end. Let me change this up here. So we were hoping to get 2-2. It wasn't quite the way we drew it up, if you will, and how this happened. So last week, where we left off, the Wizards lost to the 76ers on Halloween. There was a rematch on Wednesday. In that game, the Wizards actually came out strong. They did exactly what we were talking about, how like we had fallen behind early in a bunch of those other games. And it was nice to see them come out and outscore them in the first. It's pretty even second quarter. The 76ers put up 39 points in the third, which is rough. But I like the Wizards' resiliency, and they came through in the fourth quarter. Porzingis and Bradley Beal almost went for 60, just the two of them. Kuzma played well in addition to that. The 76ers obviously are without, a key player, which is helpful. But still, we're able to put up some points, and they're still a dangerous team. I like the field goal percentage was back up for the Wizards. It had been very good at the beginning of the season. It had started to dip last week. We talked about that. So that was nice to see some of that come back to form. Our 3-point shooting wasn't particularly great, and theirs was not bad, and that's kind of kept them in this game a bit. But I was happy to see that we made a decent amount of our free throws, and overall just played a good game, especially to come after losing at home, to go back to the 76ers and win that game was important. Ken, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
So this was, I said it on the podcast last week. I said that after losing to the 76ers on Halloween night, that you needed to come back and bounce back and make this a revenge game. And they went up and they did it. And it wasn't easy. James Harden went out there, played and balled his butt off as always he does. But with Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis going out there and scoring almost 60 points combined, like, you can't beat that. And you look at all the numbers, all the people that were in double figures in scoring. That's something that can tell you that they went out there and they had a renewed focus to get that win off of this team and to avenge that Halloween night loss. They came out with a lot of vigor, a lot of fire. There were some misfires throughout the game, but for the most part, they went out there and they competed. And because of the compete and the fight, they were able to come away with the win to even up their record to 4-4 in the season, which was really, really good. They needed this in the worst way possible.
Yeah, for sure. Arun, what are some of your takeaways on the stat side?
The Sixers, they shot 52% from 3-point range. But I think the bigger thing was that the 76ers didn't have anyone over 6'7" for most of the game. And Porzingis, that's the reason why he was able to get 30 points, his first 30-point outing, I believe, of the season, and 9 rebounds. It was good that the Wizards were sharing the ball. I actually think Beal came through more and through down the stretch of the end of the game. And without Embiid, this should be a win for the Wizards, but although it was pretty close at times, Rui actually played kind of well in this game. He constantly was being outscored by double digits, but in this game, when he was on the floor, the Wizards were plus 14, meaning the bench actually played well, including Denny. He played pretty good defense on James Harden. I believe he blocked him a couple times, and he pulled down 8 rebounds and 1 assist. He didn't have a great scoring output. But when the James Harden ended up getting injured at the end of this game, he played through this game, but then he ended up leaving the game. So the Sixers played well. Maxey, actually, he had a second 30-point game without Joel Embiid, so it's not like the Sixers are trash without Embiid, but it's definitely good that the Wizards were able to pull it out if they want to make a push for the playoffs.
For sure. All right, let's get into the next game. This one was a game that we thought we had in the bag. It was a home game. We're DC Sports Without the Politics. So I'm going to try not to talk about politics on this segment here, but I really hate what Kyrie is doing. As a Jewish guy, very hard to stomach. I know he apologized in my mind way too late, but he's very frustrating. Danger he did with some of the COVID stuff, some of this stuff that he's pushing, especially for him being such a high-profile member of the NBA Players Association. It's very troubling to me. And I thought that we could get something from this, but obviously the Nets used this as a galvanizing thing, saying, hey, no one believes that we're anything without this guy. Let's go prove them that they were wrong. And we were the whipping boy in this game. I mean, just 38 points, then 31, then 27, then 32. Holy shit. It's
CP3? What
CP3?
the
hell? I was like, what? Holy moly. Hold on. I got to stop the screen share for a second.
Yes, sir.
My brother.
Wow. Carol's back in the building.
Yes, sir. I saw y'all was still going live. I just got off work a little early and saw the Caps had prevailed and won the game. I was watching the score closely at work. It got a little closer than I liked it to be. So I said, I saw you guys on. I was trying to get on with the Zoom on my phone. It caused a little technical difficulty, but I found a way to get it done. So I missed you guys, so I had to at least come and jump on and say, hey, since you guys were still on live.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a quick little update. So Kuzi was, I think, the player of the night. He had 2 goals on the power play and 2 assists. We were able to score 4 goals on the power play, Carol, which is what you need to do. I mean, it's just, you hate to have to rely on that so much, but we needed every single one of those goals. I mean, Edmonton's a tough team. Right after we'd score a goal, they'd come right back. I mean, you saw, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, all of their big guns, coming back. And it was a good game. It's good to see you. I'm happy that you're back. I know we were talking about how people need to check out your post-game live. It's a rough one. I'll ask you a question while we have you on. What are your thoughts and keys to success against the Eagles next week? We'll give a little bit of I'll put back the Commanders graphic for a second, but what are your thoughts? We have a live podcast next week. Our history with those on Monday Night Football, but and they're undefeated. I mean, how do we start faster? I kind of asked that question to Dugenet a little earlier, but what are your thoughts, and how do we get the game plan going a little earlier?
All right, since I haven't been on in a while, I wasn't going to pull this out until later on in the week, probably for my pregame.
Oh, shit.
If you recall, 2 years ago, when Pittsburgh Steelers were 11-0, and I said that at the time, the Washington football team was going to shock the world, and we did. Now, if you think back to earlier in this season when we played Philly, we played them tough. We shut them down in the first half. It wasn't for those 3 turnovers and the offense sputtering and Scott Turner not running the ball, we could have won that game. So I'm going to jump out there and saying that the Washington Commanders will upset the Eagles on Monday Night Football in Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
CP3, I thought you were saying to make that prediction against the Steelers that 2 years ago. I'm on the bus with you this time, my brother. I'm on the bus with you.
I'm saying if Scott runs the ball, the defense has been playing outstanding. No one is giving Del Rio credit. for the way he has that line, and Jeff Zoniger, who took over for Sam Mills III, and has that D-line playing to the full potential that everybody was complaining about last year when they wasn't getting it done. Now they're getting it done. No one said anything about Jamin Davis, the strides he's made the last couple of weeks. No one's really talked about St. Juice since he's been put back to the outside. I want to see him and Brown go at it on Monday Night Football because I think St. Juice is going to have some work for him. And I believe if they run the ball and Ron Rivera needs to put his foot up Scott Turner's butt and his throat to tell him 3rd and 1, no shotgun. I'm tired of seeing shotgun on 3rd and short. If he can get him to call a NFL football game and not try to outthink or out-strategize the other team when something is working, I believe this team can shock the world and beat the Eagles because if you recall the first game, they kept Jalen Hurts in the pocket. And they had one of the top running games in the league, and they held their running game under, I believe, 80 yards. So if they can repeat that performance, get off to a better start, and Scott calls a better game plan, I feel like this team can shock the world and beat the Eagles and take them from being undefeated.
Yeah. Wow. I would love that, especially live on air. If we could somehow get that to happen, if you see that happening at the end of the game, you'll have to somehow do this again and jump on with us for sure. So
I'll probably be at work later, but if they pull this off, I will find somewhere with a good signal so I can jump for a minute.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I know that you're probably, I don't know where you're even at, and I don't know how limited your time is, but do you have any thoughts on the potential sale of this team? I know we posed that to Dujanay. We did talk about how we don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but what are your I mean, there's a lot of news. I know we didn't like breaking news until something major happens, but what are your thoughts? I mean, the ownership has definitely changed their talking points for sure. You thought he would never do it, and we're already, I would say, closer than you and I had ever thought that it was going to happen.
That I made was that he would never be forced to sell, as in the owners vote him out. If he voluntarily chooses to sell, that's another thing. My opinion, I'm thinking because no one wants to partner with him on the land deal for the stadium. So I'm thinking he's doing this fishing expedition to either line up a partner or some minority owners that will be the so-called face and deal with that prospect of getting land ownership. So I don't know if it's official.
All of our insiders, though, I just have to say, everyone thinks that they're actually selling it straight out. So I mean,
I was about to say I've reached out to some of my sources and they've told me that yes, it's going to happen. I won't believe it until I see him sign the dotted line, because I know what type.
Someone's got to put up $5 billion. It's not like it's a small number that someone's going to pull out of their pocket, you know?
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm seeing all the rumors about Bezos and Jay-Z and Byron Allen partnering up trying to get it. I've been on a record about Bezos, and a lot of fans are happy at the prospect. But all I'm going to say is there's a reason why the Seattle Seahawks didn't allow him to become an owner of that franchise.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave it at that. I've been on the record and said.
And now Amazon has Thursday Night Football, and I raised this with Dujanay. I don't know how that's not a conflict of interest to be able to. I know it's probably only one game a season they're going to be broadcasting, but no other team has an owner that owns part of the broadcast network and a team. I don't even know if that's possible.
Well, and hockey now, and with Ted Leon now, he kind of does.
Right, but so totally different broadcastings. Yeah, no, in other sports, it's totally different. I agree, it's happened. But in football, it's not a thing. It's just the major networks.
You might use the Ted Leontis thing as a loophole to say, hey, look, he's doing it with the NBA and the NHL. Why can't I do it with the NFL? You know, Bezos is a greasy businessman here. Throw them another, because these Thursday night football games have been a joke. So
think about the stadium that he could afford to build at the RFK site. I'm just
He's a Muppet.
But Amazon could have the Amazon Prime Stadium, and that thing would be bigger.
No, the thing. RFK is owned by the federal government.
I know. I think he'd have to partner with them. But if he's saying, I'm going to put money into building the thing, that's what they're looking for, is somebody who's going to partner with them. And like, because the problem with Dan is Dan was like, I want you guys to pay for it and I'll put my team there. And they're like, nah. But if he puts the money up for the building of it and they say, here's our land and we're going to build around it, that's what they're looking to do. I really feel that.
Well, like I say, I don't know.
They want it. Why wouldn't you want a Jerry Jones type indoor stadium there? That's how you attract, big things like World Cup, Olympics, all that shit, right? Especially if it's on the Metro line.
It's the logistics. Remember, RFK only seated like 60.
Right. I know but the land though, Carol, was far larger than the building that was there.
Got to think about it. They're going to have to do construction on 295, 395. They're going to have to do so much more infrastructure building for that spot, because like I say, I live like 10, 15 minutes from it, and it's a big circle. So if you bid and that stadium only holds 60, if you're talking about building the dome, that's bigger space. That's more space. So therefore you're going to have to recut all the roads, and then now you're going to have to give access to the beltway, because you got to have proper traffic flow to get those 80, 90,000 people out. So it's not just about the stadium, it's about the infrastructure around the stadium. And then you got to worry about getting the metro, a metro access to it, so you can have people that's not. So it's a lot more things that go into it than just building the stadium.
I know, but I'm just saying, with that size of a land plot and the money of Jeff Bezos, anything is possible.
I mean, it's possible, but it's going to be a large.
Oh yeah, it's years down the road. I don't think this is happening overnight, but like the potential chance for it is much greater than it ever was with Dan. Right. So it was kind of a non-starter. They didn't want to deal with him anymore.
I'm just saying, look at how he maneuvered out in Tyson's Corner with the land deals out there.
Yeah.
He has Virginia a lot on the hook for a lot of funds out there supporting his growth of the richest man in the world. So I'm saying, everybody think it's sweet, and that's why I keep on saying it. Everybody call me a Dan Snyder defender, but he is not that bad as the media and as the fans want to portray him as. I understand the first impression. I understand he ran it like a fantasy football. I understand he's a prick. I understand he's a douche. I understand all of that. But you have some owners that don't spend squat on their team. You have some owners that are strictly in it for the profit margin. This man has taken seats out of the stadium. This man has given money to the Native American community. This man has started programs for the disadvantaged youth and community in this area. Now, Bezos, I haven't heard of him doing any type of charitable stuff, but filling his pockets with Amazon money. So everybody think the grass is going to be greener on the other side, but you get this dude in here who's never run a franchise. The same thing with Daniel Snyder when he first got in, but was a savvy businessman who knows what type of control he's going to try to put into it. Who knows, with all the work that's we've put into this franchise to get them on the right path with Von Rare, Martin Mayhew, and Doug Williams, who says he doesn't come in here and say, I want to do things new and get rid of all of them and all the work that Ron has put in to get us in good salary cap standard, to actually start drafting players that are actually playing on the field, not wasting money in free agency, and actually developing talent and seeing the talent grow. And then now you bring in an owner that you don't know what he's going to do and how he's going to react to being the owner that he's been trying to be for so long. We might be going through Dan Snyder's so-called 2.0. All I'm trying to say is Seattle didn't get that man a franchise for a reason.
Right. Real quickly, just to fact check his donations. Mackenzie Scott, his ex-wife, has given $3.8 billion to charity, but he does much less. But he's given over $120 million already this year to charities. So
he's given $2.4 billion to charity, but I guess it's a lot less. $1.4 billion is a lot less, but still $2.4 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not nothing. So
variable in this area.
It's a lot more than Dan Snyder has ever given. So, but he also has a lot more. So anyway, not important, but I just wanted to at least say that he does do some. So
I'm just wary of him because, Seattle was where he was based at. He was out there trying to get it. And from the reports that I've heard, he's a real douche when it comes to, being a owner. So all I'm saying is be wary of what these folks been whining and crying for, because when you get it, you might not like what you get. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's the right answer either. I think an ownership group and people who are invested in this is the primary thing is probably a better way to go about it, because I don't ever see Jeff Bezos sitting in the owner's box. He's too busy of a man, right? So like,
For Arun, since Arun jumped on, I heard that RG3 was possibly talking about being a part of. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he said he's going to bring on 10 potential owners, and then I was thinking about tweeting back, I should be part of that ownership group. I've been promoting it since there wasn't anything.
Timed in with the RG3 reference during this talk.
Yeah, that sounds good. I do want to say that the Ravens did win their game against the New Orleans Saints, and an update on that game as well. So, for us having a misery Monday, all 3 games where I had rooting interest, Carol, they went our way tonight. So the Wizards won, the Capitals won, and the Ravens won. So, that's all good. I'll let, I know that you probably have to get going, CP3, but I'll let you give your final thoughts before we switch back to some Wizards talk.
Nah, nothing much. I've been busy grinding, so I haven't even been able to watch a full Caps game. I'm watching the highlights now on NHL Network. I've made sure I got the Commanders games. I appreciate y'all guys, taking over for me since I got to go through these changes I'm going through right now. I'm glad I was able to jump on. I check y'all. Might not be able to jump on or see y'all or do nothing because my signal's so bad at work, but I always, try to tune in at least to check y'all out. Still stay on the lookout. I'm still working on getting the daytime show up and running. I got some obligations I got to take care of first, so I know I've been talking about it for a while, but bear with me. There will be a morning show coming sooner rather than later. I'm getting used to my new schedule and everything that's going on, so just make sure you check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Check out the YouTube channel, even though it's been a little quiet lately. I'm going to try to at least get some highlights from this Capitals game up. I put a couple of videos up today from the Commanders games. YouTube, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes, not the number 3. Go subscribe and follow. And man, enjoy the rest of the show. And hopefully the Wizards can get some stuff together, because the NBA has been very crazy. I haven't been paying attention, but yeah, I've seen the NBA has been very crazy this season so far.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if people want to go to sportsothp.com and click on the social media button, it has all of Carol's stuff there, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. It also has all of our SportsOTHP accounts that he also manages as well, and also has links to his right on the banner, the YouTube as well. So all of that is available at sportsothp.com, and I'm so excited to get to see you live and in person. I appreciate the post games and the pre games and all the stuff that you've been doing over on the football side. And next week it's going to be a crazy game and do a watch along. 3 weeks in a row we've had Wizards and Caps the last 2 weeks on the show, with the Halloween special and with tonight. We lost both last week. We won both this week. Hopefully that trend will continue, and your prediction will be right. I do want to point out that Arun did change his artwork to a Civil War image to play on Marvel of having RG3 versus Cousins. I assume this is from back in the day.
Arun, I hate you.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, the worst part of that loss was seeing Kurt's celebration on the plane ride back.
Yeah. Did he yell? Did you like that? I don't know.
Somebody, I can't remember where. I think I was scrolling on Instagram and somebody shared it, and I don't know if it was Photoshop or what, but the man had on some gold chains and some shades with his shirt off. And yeah, he was feeling himself, and that was the one thing I was dreading after this weekend. So when that interception on that dumb play call, and I saw the momentum swing, I started typing the text for my post game because I had a feeling it was not going to go our way. And then that penalty on the field goal attempt, I watched the film a couple of times. Even Coach watched it, and the referee or the official came on and explained the ruling, and I don't know, man. Even on that pick 6, that called that overturned pick six. I still not feeling those two calls, but like I said, I'm never going to blame the refs. But I'm thinking the Commanders going to come out determined. Like I said, the first time they played them, they know they left points on the board. They know they left opportunity to beat them, and I'm hoping that they're going to be focused on the road, ready to rock and roll, and knock them off of their undefeated streak.
Well, I really appreciate you for joining us and being a part of the podcast again. Oh, Carol, one fun thing, you weren't part of Hockey Talk. You know how much of a big fan we are of Ovechkin. So he was able to get his, what did we decide? It was the 788th goal for number 8 on podcast episode 288. So I thought that's kind of funny that he scored an 88 and we have an 88 in the podcast number. Very serendipitous. So I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, shout out to Ovi. I didn't get a chance to Caps talk. 787, well, now 788 goals with the same team, NHL record, still chasing Gretzky and Howe for the all-time record. I've been on the record as saying I feel like he's the greatest DC sports athlete of all time. I've had some folks debate me on it. I have some folks agree with me on it. But you're never going to change my mind because this dude is ridiculous. He's hardly ever injured. The physical play, the constant goal scoring, the records that you can't even keep track of. I got to get an interview with this dude, man. That's all I know.
I hope that we do someday. But Carol, I really appreciate you for joining us. We're gonna switch back gears into Wizards talk. We've already gone for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and so I don't want to keep these guys too long. But I really appreciate you for joining us, and hopefully we'll find a way for you to be right, and maybe you can join the end of the podcast. We're putting the football talk at the end, so it'll give you an opportunity if you are able to get out early to join us for that segment. We're gonna do hockey, then Wizards, and then football. We're giving Dugenet the night off, and then anybody that wants to watch with me, I talked to Arun, maybe even have him live in the man cave. We'll see how that goes. I still have his sweatshirt I need to give him, and so I'm hopefully maybe he can bring some luck to our team. We'll see if Arun can join us live in the man cave. But either way, Carol, I hope that you're able to join us in a future episode. It gives me hope that maybe when episode 300 comes around, maybe you can join for a cameo in that one.
Yeah, maybe anything's possible. I'm gonna see what I can do. And a quick nugget before I roll. My birthday is on Tuesday next week, so this will be a great birthday present to Commanders. Make my prediction come true because I might even go place a bet and a parlay on this because I've been dabbling into the sports betting, and this
don't bet on your team if you want them to win. That's my dad always said that. Like, bet against what you want to win. You'll never be sad. If you bet for it, you're doubly pissed.
Parlays, not the straight out, because I've been learning about this sports betting. Because some of
parlays are even harder to hit, but we'll see.
Yeah, I like I said, not definite, but stay on the lookout. You might see me with some betting stuff going on. But y'all get back to Wizards, man. I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. Y'all have a good night and have a great rest of the show.
Sounds good. Thank you, Carol, for joining in. That's a fun surprise. We don't get surprise Zoom guests very often, so it's very cool. So I appreciate that. Let's get back into some Wizards talk. We're gonna swap out my graphic. I've been trying to keep up with the graphics as we talk different sports, but we're talking all the sports tonight. It's this podcast turned out so much better than I ever hoped, because knowing, like, if we had lost this Wizards game, and we lost the Capitals game, and we lost the Commanders game, it would have been a very depressing podcast. Like, the fact that we won both games tonight, the Ravens have won, which also is a team that I root for. We don't talk about it a lot on this show, but I just feel very different than I did a couple hours ago, especially when the DMV stole 2 hours of my day away from me this morning and didn't even give me an ID at the end of it all. I was pissed and I thought I was going to flip tables. So how I feel now compared to how I felt this morning, drastically different. So I appreciate that. But let's get back into it. Let me see if I can share the screen. We're going to quickly go through these other two games. All right. So this game, we'll go through it fast because neither of us liked it. But Champ, what are your thoughts on just completely getting destroyed in a game we should have won?
You have no Kyrie. Kyrie basically took himself out of this game with what he did online. And like you said, we're DC Sports without the politics. We're not going to get to the politics of this. You have no Kyrie. Yeah, you have KD, but you have no Kyrie. This should have been one of those games where you go in and you absolutely knock it out the park.
At least make it close. Like, you don't have to, like,
yes, and make it close. But guess what? They didn't make it close. They didn't make it close. Brooklyn blew them out of their own gym. This is embarrassing.
oh, the poor people that paid money for this. I feel so bad for those Wizards fans.
Listen, here's my thing. If I'd have won a ticket to this game and I'd have gotten that, I'd have asked for my money back. And I didn't pay for it. If I'd have won a ticket, I'd have asked for a refund. That's how embarrassing this loss is. You have one of their star players gone. That should have been your moment to take advantage and take them out. And you didn't. Look at the shooting. Look at the field goal shooting. That is pathetic.
Look at the 3-point shooting. Yeah, it's just awful all around.
Bad, just bad. I don't even want to talk
this.
about
I have to say is an interesting stat. They only went to the line 14 times out of their 128 points, which to me is crazy. Usually when the score is like this, you expect this to be at least in the 20s, if not 30s, right? Like, it's rare in today's NBA, but 14 for 14, good on them. I mean, it's hard to go 100% for free throws in the NBA, which I never understood. You think these guys get paid a lot of money, but I rarely see 100% on the free throw line. Arun, talk about some of these stats.
Yeah, the Brooklyn shot 50% from 3-point range, and that was ridiculous. And I think this game was pretty much over in the second quarter, funnily enough, because like the Wizards had a 2-point lead, and then Brooklyn like outscored them, and then they came into the half like down by 12 points, which was just like the last few minutes of that, and then it just continued, spiraled out of control even more in the third quarter. Like, I kind of even tuned out at halftime because I figured they're going to lose the game, but I didn't predict it would be this bad. And then Kyrie Irving, the thing with him is that the Brooklyn Nets played better without him. They have more wins without him, since he didn't play for a while because of injuries the first year. The second year, or he also was injured. Then third year, vaccine mandate, he didn't play in the
So,
home
Arun,
games.
I have a question. If he didn't play any of those home games because he didn't get the vaccine, was he still getting paid for those games?
He didn't get paid for the home games, but for the away games he missed, he was getting paid. Because Brooklyn initially took a stand that if he's not going to play in the home games, then he shouldn't play in the away games. And then they quickly changed that stance. And then I think James Harden wasn't having any of that. So then he wanted off the team, and now they have Ben Simmons. That's the other thing. That's probably another reason why Brooklyn is playing better, because Ben Simmons has been playing like trash so far this season. He's lost all his confidence.
I can't believe how little points the Wizards scored in the second half. 29 points. Like, they almost the Nets scored almost that in the third quarter. I mean,
the Nets scored more in every quarter except the third quarter than the Wizards scored in the second half.
That's crazy. It's just such a bad blowout loss to a team that's only now won 3 games.
Well,
by the way,
fourth quarter, I would say that the Wizards just put in the bench mob, and their bench is terrible.
I know.
By the way, Robbie, there's a story that came out. The NBA Players Association are appealing Kyrie Irving's suspension.
I hate that. I hate that he's such a high.
He's also part of the players union, by the way. He's a representative.
Yeah. I thought, wasn't he like the VP at one
He's
point?
the vice president of the NBA Players Association, and they're appealing his suspension because of the conditions that he has to complete in order to be reinstated. That's why they're appealing it.
It's just so obnoxious. It's just, it takes so much out of me to bite my tongue on this. You know, I've talked about it on a lot of other politics shows, and so I've talked about it a bunch, but just, it's outrageous that he can spread the lies and the bullshit that he does. And then because he's such a high profile member, they're just going to go to bat for him, because how could they not, right? I mean, you'd have to strip him of his title as VP if they're not going to go for bat for him. Like, it's one or the other. If he's one of those top players, they're going to do it. regardless of what the content of his messaging is, which is trash. Anyway, we'll move on to the Memphis Grizzlies Wizards game. Before I get myself into too much trouble. Anyway, Wizards Grizzlies close first quarter, 25-24. The Grizzlies just blew them out in the second quarter, 33-18. So I was really happy with how the game started, but it kind of fell apart. But then the Wizards clawed their way back into it. In the fourth quarter, it was pretty even. By that point, the Memphis Grizzlies put up a 103-97 victory. Well, Champ, what are your thoughts on this Grizzlies game? And the Grizzlies are a good team.
Like I mentioned when we talked about the Hornets game, I've been watching a lot of the Hell's Kitchen. It's all about bouncing back. You got beat by 40 plus points the night before, like the game before. This is supposed to be your bounce back game. And you almost bounced back. You got blown out in the second quarter, but you clawed back in the third and fourth quarter. But at that point, it was too little too late. There wasn't enough fight to be able to come back and win. Now, granted, the Memphis Grizzlies, you look at their record and look what they've done so far. They are a very strong team. They are a very, very strong team. So you put the fight in, but the numbers speak for themselves. You sucked from 3-point land. Like, you sucked. Clearly, you sucked from 3-point land, and that's what killed you. Did not make 3-pointers. Like, you lost by 6, but clearly it wasn't
Also,
as close
not
as
getting
it
to the
seems.
line as much. I mean, the disparity here of free throws. I know that they're at home; they'll probably get the benefit of the doubt, but they doubled your free throw attempts, right? And if
Yeah.
they're making 80% of those, in theory, if they have 10 more chances at it, you make 80% of that. That's 8, and they won by 6. That's the
Exactly.
difference, you know.
Exactly.
And so, because the field goal percentage is relatively close, 3-point shooting not great, but it's like they made one more 3-pointer than we did. It's not like they were dominating in that.
They made one more 3-pointer than us, but they took
It took a
way
lot
less attempts.
Yeah, that's true. I look at this number that we put up 96 field goal attempts, which is crazy to me. But yeah, it's rough. Arun, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just a couple of the starters didn't play well, like Porzingis, 3 of 13, 10 points. I guess the defense is focused on him, but Denny, 2 of 12 for 4 points. Yikes. Kuzma, 5 of 14 for 12 points. I think the bench they almost had more points than the starters. They had 47 points, and the starters had 50 points, and the starters played significantly more minutes. So overall, it was Jordan Goodwin's first good game, and it continued into tonight. But just the Wizards started off well. I believe they were winning 9-0, but I think they were outscored after that by 20 points in the first half, and then I think the Wizards made a game of it again in the third and fourth quarter. They had like a lead, I believe, in the fourth quarter, but then I think the Grizzlies are able to get to the net more because they have John Moran. He's incredible and athletic, and the Wizards are playing without Bradley Beal, and it definitely hurt them tonight because they only put up 97 points, but the defense was a lot better without Beal. Probably Kispert being back and Denny being back more in the lineup. Also saw some Todd Gibson played a couple minutes, but it was a good effort against the Grizzlies team. Been nice to get a win, but I think Memphis is significantly better than the Wizards, especially without Bradley Beal.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into tonight's game a little bit more. We talked about it a bit. The Wizards started off strong. We talked about how the Hornets stormed back. The Wizards put up a good third for once. That helps. And they actually outscored them in the fourth as well to extend the lead. It was still close down the stretch with a 108-100 victory. We already got some of Arun's thoughts on it, but I'll get Champ. What are some of your thoughts on it?
So again, as I mentioned at the start, this was the bounce back game. This was the bounce back game. You lost by 40 on Friday. You're coming off a back-to-back where you lost to one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and then you bounce back to break a 9-game losing streak in Charlotte, where Charlotte doesn't have their top star in Ball. You went out there. You don't have your top star in Beal because, as I said earlier, for the 909,000th time, that man is in the health and safety protocol. Like, how many times is this man gonna be in the health and safety protocol? That's what I want to know. Like, what is he doing to get in there so many freaking times? But yes, you struggle from beyond the arc. But overall field goal shooting, you shot pretty well, over 50%. And you went to the line a lot more times, even though you weren't as efficient percentage-wise, it still made a difference because you made so many more. Like, look at the final score. They won by 8. How many free throws did they make over the Hornets? 8 more. That was a difference, ladies and gentlemen. That was a huge difference. So this was the bounce back game that the Wizards needed after back-to-back poor losses. And I called a 2-2 record, and they managed to get 2-2, though the games that I called that were going to be wins didn't really happen, but it was still a 2-2 game. So yeah. I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Arun, any additional thoughts you have on this matchup?
No, not really. I think I touched on it earlier. Just Goodwin was great, and Porzingis played well, and Rui was a solid performance.
So let's look at the week ahead here. You can see on the upcoming scoreboard, Mavericks at Wizards Thursday at 7 o'clock. And then on Saturday, continue the homestand against the Jazz. And then they play the Grizzlies on a Sunday at 6 o'clock. It's like deja vu, but this time in the other building. It's interesting, unlike the Capitals, who never get home back-to-back games. It looks like the Wizards do have it, but against two interesting opponents. Let's start off with the Mavericks. I'll get your guys' thoughts on that, and then we'll talk about the Jazz and the Grizzlies as well. Champ, what are your thoughts on the Mavericks?
Luka Doncic is a problem. That man is already averaging 36 points a game, and we're already 8 games into the season. That is going to be a tall task for our front court to deal with, as well as our back court. So they're going to have to really be very, very efficient on defense to deal with him and the rest of that Mavericks defense. Again, the Western Conference always are tough to play, but this is the start of a 6-game road trip. So the Wizards are going to be home. Everybody that's coming in, especially West Coast teams, they're coming here, so they have to adjust the time zones. They have to adjust all that. So that is the Wizards' advantage when it comes to these games right now, is take advantage of this and be able to do what you got to do. You just got a big win in Charlotte, which breaks a long losing streak. Play off of that momentum, take it to a team that is somewhat better than you, and just punch them in the mouth. They're coming into your house. If someone breaks into my house, I'm punching them in the face. So that's what they need to do. Treat the Mavericks like they're breaking into their house and punch them in the face.
Yeah, I agree. It's a long home stretch. It's going to be one of the longest ones of the season. So you got to take advantage of that and win. You know, if you're trying to make a run for the playoffs, you got to make a run here and win some of these games. Arun, what is your take on the Mavericks game?
A couple former Wizards playing, JaVale McGee, Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Davis Bertans is injured, or he's not playing in this game against the Brooklyn Nets. And KP, he goes against the Dallas Mavericks. Last time the Wizards played the Mavericks, they won by 32 points. So I think this is probably the most winnable game, especially because I think KP has some bad blood against the Mavs, and for some reason, maybe the Wizards last year didn't really particularly like the comments that Spencer Dinwiddie made. But this is probably the most winnable game for the Wizards out of these 3 games.
All right, Champ, let's get into this Jazz game on Saturday. What are your thoughts? It's interesting, 2 6 o'clock home games in a row.
Right. So they have a couple of days off, and they're going up against the Jazz, another team that's in the top 5 in the West off the early. And again, this is a tough stretch here because they're facing 3 top 5 teams in the West off the break, but they're coming into our house. And my message continues to be, if someone's coming into your house threatening you, you need to punch them in the face. And that's the same thing for here. Marketing is a very, very serious problem in the front court, averaging almost 22 points a game. So our front court of Porzingis, as well as others, need to be on their game in the front court. Hopefully we'll have Beal back. Hopefully we'll have Bill back for the Mavericks game, and then we have him for this game. So hopefully he can make the difference in the backcourt. They need to get much better in terms of three-point shooting, because these last few games, their three-point shooting has been abysmal. They need to fix that. If they're going to be a team that's going to shoot so much from beyond the three-point line, I have a big piece of advice for this team. If they're going to shoot a lot of three-point shots, one piece of advice: make your shots. That's all I have to say.
Arun, what are some of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the Jazz are playing extremely well. I think everyone thought they were going to be one of the worst teams after they traded Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but they're 8-3. They're playing the Lakers, who are right now 2-7. Talk about reversal of fortune. I think this game is probably a loss for the Wizards, and I don't know if Beal will be back at this point. Who knows if Beal will get another COVID test, positive test. I have no idea.
For sure. All right, let's get into the last game. It's the Grizzlies. We've already talked about them a bit since we just saw them. Champ, what are your? How do we sort of turn the corner and beat the same team?
Don't shoot so badly from beyond the arc and find a way to get to the free throw line more. That's just the bottom line. Honestly, this Wizards team is not as bad as it seems. I came into the season with very low expectations, and we started off pretty good. This team is not as bad as it seems, but my problem is that they think that they're a three-point shooting team, like they're the Warriors or something like, or the Nets or the Celtics or something like that. That's not this team's identity. Their identity is playing in the paint, like short range shots, and just relying on their front court to be able to dominate in the paint. That is this team's reality. That is the reality of this team's identity. The problem is, I don't think they know that. It's funny that me as a fan, as someone watches, I can recognize that, but I don't think they recognize that. So they need to recognize that three-point shooting is not going to be what wins them games. What's going to win them games is dominating the paint and playing smart, savvy defense. And against a team like the Grizzlies, who, again, top 5 in the Western Conference early on in the season. Yes, it's a long season. I get that. But they've already are establishing themselves as a team to look at in the Western Conference. So you have to make a statement as they come into your house. And I'm going to say it for the third time. I know it's going to get repetitive, but you know what? Damn it. It has to be said. They're coming into your house. They should be treated like violators and punch them in the face.
Yeah, especially early in the game. I mean, what we've seen that works is the Wizards can, even tonight, they started off strong. They had some weak moments. I mean, it's a game of runs. They're going to have to deal with that. But I think that not being too far behind early on, they waste a ton of energy to try to get back into some of these games, and they fall apart at the end. And I think that a big reason why we won today is we started off well. So, Arun, what are your thoughts on this Grizzlies game?
Yeah, the Wizards just need to get more offense sort of from the three-point line. Right now, the Wizards have the worst offense in the Eastern Conference. There are a few teams in the Western Conference that are worse, but I think it's just the LA Clippers and the LA Lakers, and that's it. So maybe some more buckets will come down at home. And I just want to mention the Golden State Warriors. They actually have a worse record than the Washington Wizards by 2 wins, and they're right now losing to the Sacramento Kings. So it's kind of funny that even the Warriors system isn't working for them so far this season.
Yeah, it's I mean, in any of these sports, any team could win. That's why, I mean, although it sounds crazy with Carol's prediction, next week, it wouldn't shock me that the Eagles would overlook, a team like the Commanders, and they could maybe it's a trap game conventionally, but I'm not going to bet on them. But it wouldn't like.
They only beat the Texans by 12 points.
Yeah, it would surprise me less than I think that Steelers game did a couple of years ago, right? I mean, that one that Carol predicted, I was more surprised by, I think, than I would be this one. Even though the Eagles are technically a better team, because I think that it's a divisional game in the NFC East, and it's always tough. And Nader says, "What's your thoughts on lowering the hoop for the WNBA?" What are you just saying in general? If they did that, I've not.
Why
heard.
would they do that?
Yeah, no, I don't think you could do that.
Why would they do that? That makes zero sense. They've been playing fine for almost 20 years with the hoop at the current height.
Nader's wants more dunks, but Nader's also is a character. I'll warn you guys about that. You know, somebody. So I mean, sure.
It definitely hurt the 3-point shooters who are like practicing up that high. So I don't think maybe it'll help dunking.
I'm just gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. Oh shit! And that just broke my
They'll
chair. That just
probably
pissed me off
dunk
so
in,
much. I
like,
broke my
10 or
chair.
15 years,
Oh no!
hopefully.
Oh shit!
Oh, shit.
My chair is fucked.
Oh, no.
Yay! Okay,
I'm
I'm just down here like this. It's okay.
Oh no! Oh no! Now Nader's got hit with an ad. See, bad idea gets hit with an ad. You know that happens. It's Twitch karma. Well, we've broken down it all real quickly. Just want to get your guys' thoughts. I know you don't have strong opinions on it, but Arun, did you watch any more of the World Series?
Yeah, I watched the final game. That's pretty nice seeing Dusty Baker get like the World Series champion.
It
People have been
lulled me
calling
to
him-
sleep. I fell asleep in the seventh. Like when it was a 1-2-3 seventh, then that commercial break, I passed out. I was like, I kind of at that point thought that the Phillies weren't going to come back in that game, but yeah, it
I
was
think Game 5 was probably the closer game because that Real Muto fly ball, that was an incredible
Yes.
catch by McCormick at the wall because if he
Oh,
didn't
I think
catch
that's a
that
game
ball-
changer. I think if they go back there the other way, even if Houston wins game 6, then I still think there's a lot of pressure on a game 7.
And I guess Verlander, he hadn't had a World Series win prior to that, so I guess it's nice that he played well with the Tigers before.
Yeah,
and-
my Philly fan was like, oh, he's gonna choke like he always does, and I guess he didn't, so like
I guess
it's-
Bryce Harper, he didn't particularly play well in like the last couple
of years,
he
but I mean he
great in
still
the
played pretty well.
NLCS, but not in the World Series really.
Yeah, but he had his moments in the World Series too, in some of those games early on.
Yeah,
But
but
I
not
agree.
in the
Not in the important ones down the stretch. So
yeah,
yeah,
because in the Game 5 he was also, I think he was the final out, I think.
and good for my cousin. My cousin, I think, was 0 or it's actually Liz's cousin, but cousin by marriage. But he was 0-5. He's a Houston fan in World Series games. He had been their big jinx over these last 4 years, and so he was actually there, and they were able to win. I think we lost Arun. I think maybe he's going back. I don't know. Arun. Oh, he's back. Okay. Let me see. All right, there you go. Lily's moved up a spot on the scoreboard. Let me end the screen share. I thought it'd be fun. I did a Lily cam just because she was being cute. But maybe Arun, I know we'll talk about this off air, but maybe Arun will join live to watch the Commanders game with me. We'll see what his schedule looks like next week, and maybe Champ, I don't know what your plans are next week, if you want to do a watch along as well.
I'll let you know, but yeah. I do have to get off here because my chair is completely screwed right now. Like I'm literally sliding in this thing, so I need to throw it away.
As quickly as you can, I'm going to put your graphic up on the screen for the No Spots podcast. Let people know about what you're talking about this week, and then we'll let you go.
Right. So we just had Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia go off without a hitch. So myself and Sith will be recapping that event as well as what's happening this week, plus some big news out of the NWA. Its top star Nick Aldis decided to give them notice that he was not re-signing his contract and let it expire at the end of this year. And they decided to get toxic and suspend the man for the foreseeable future because of this. So we're going to talk about how bad for business that is for Billy Corgan to suspend his top star because he doesn't want to resign. All that and more this Saturday, live on Twitch for the No Spots Wrestling Podcast at 6 p.m. Eastern. The audio can be heard at SportsOTHP.com at the Partners button.
Yeah, podcast partners button. Yeah, for sure. And also clicking Team Sports OTHP, you get all of Champ's links. I also put a link to his Twitch channel in our Twitch right now. Champ, I'll let you go
Thank you.
to save your chair. I hope
Nah, it's not. It's not even going to be savable. It's going to be trashed.
oh no, I hope you find another chair that is equally comfortable. But we'll wish you a good night, and maybe we'll see you next week.
Oh, you'll see me next week. I'll let you know.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it. All right. I think with that, we're gonna Arun, what is your I'll let you have your final audio takeaway. And then I will end the Facebook Live and the audio section of this, and then we'll try to find a place to raid out. But Arun, what are your final thoughts for this week?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a win against the Eagles. I actually took Washington last week against the Vikings, which is was a loss, but I don't know if I'm going to be as bold this upcoming week because the Eagles do have extra time. But definitely hope Carroll's right and hope he makes some money. But I don't know if I'm definitely not going to bet on that. That's for sure. And it's funny seeing RG3 on Monday Night Football shaking Lamar Jackson after the win. So it was pretty weird. But thanks for having me on, Robbie.
Yeah, one little thing to note, they just had the upcoming schedule for the Capitals. I didn't realize that one against the Penguins is going to be on TNT this week, and one of the ones, the second game against Tampa Bay, the one in Tampa Bay, will actually be on ESPN. So a couple of national broadcasts coming up for the Capitals. It'll be an interesting week. So next week's show, for those curious, we're going to be starting off with a Capitals broadcast. We're hoping to have a big roundtable of 4 people. Also, Casey, if he's able to join us, will be joining our Wizards roundtable too. He talks Wizards and Capitals, so maybe he'll join in. Maybe we'll have Arun back if he's free to talk about it during the live game, and whether it's here or remotely. We'll try to bring other people in from the Wizards roundtable as well, and then we'll do live scoring updates throughout the podcast, and we'll actually end with our Commanders coverage, kind of covering towards the end of the game. And then maybe we'll get off just before the end of the game or talk about the end of the game live, depending on how it is. But thank you everyone for tuning in on our Facebook Live. I'm going to end that part of the conversation right now. And thank you for listening to the audio podcast. This has been episode 288, DC Sports Without the Politics, Sports on the Hill podcast. It's not just a motto, but it's what we do. And I appreciate everyone for joining in, whether it be Arun, Champ, we had Carol giving a surprise appearance, Dujane, and Anna. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and all of your questions on either Facebook Live or on Twitch. And it'll be live on YouTube and on audio podcast tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in, and let's go DC Sports. I'm going to also stop the recording.
Recording stopped.
And we are good on that. Does anybody in chat have an idea of who they would like us to raid? I'll open it up to chat for that part of it. And it's been a fun show. Next week you can watch me suffer through a Commanders game live. So that'll be fun as well. Yeah, I'm just looking through the list myself to see if there's anybody that I would like to raid. And yeah, somebody who we've never raided is Green Guy Music. Let's go give Green Guy Music, or the LG Music. We both of them are good choices. But I've raided LG before. I've never raided Green Guy. So let's just do a raid. And I'm going to take a look at whether what Green Guy's up to real quickly before I raid over to him. But if anyone else has any other suggestions, you can put it in chat right now. Green Guy is 48 minutes. LG just started. I think we're gonna go visit Green Guy Music, but do check out the LG Music. He is awesome, and he on Thursday is going to be releasing his album. So I hope that people go check him out. Let me see. Give him a shout out right there. So definitely go check him out. So, but we are going to go visit Green Guy Music. And yeah, I hope that you guys all have a great week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everyone for being a part of this show. Anyone who's able to rate, I appreciate it. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you modding and all the mods for tonight. Sub raid and raid calls. Thank you, Andy, for those. Yeah, there you go. If you're gonna do the sub raid, so I'm gonna send us over. We'll be back live for a live Commanders game next week. I'll see you then.